Take off your hat, kick out your shoes. I know you ain't going anywhere. Run round the town singing your blues. I know you ain't going anywhere. You've always been a good friend of mine, but you're always saying farewell. And the only time that you're satisfied is with your feet in the wishing well.
Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of Quick Trivia with Mike. It's the weekly quiz show right here on Channel 955, where we test your knowledge of facts, sometimes a little bit more historic in nature, sometimes very contemporary. Hopefully, they're always a lot of fun. I am your host and the quizmaster, Mike Brever. I have a very special guest host with me today, Mia Lamazny. Mia, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm just fine. I'm really pleased to have you with me today. I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
I'm very grateful that you had the time and you could work it in. I know Jen, who you work for,
I do,
she
yes.
just works you and works you all the time. So I'm really pleased we got Mia today. This is really exciting. Before we begin, Mia, I have two very important questions for you.
Yes.
I always call you Mia.
Yes.
I very rarely include your last name.
That's
Is
true.
it Lamazny, Lamazny,
It's
Lamazny?
it's Lamazny.
Lamazny?
Yes.
Okay. And the second very important question.
Mm-hmm.
Your name is spelled M-I-A,
Yes,
but
it is.
pronounced Mia. Why is it not Maya?
That is a great question. It's Mia. I was,
I think we stumped her on her own name.
yeah, I was named after my great aunt. She's Mia. My name Mia comes from that. And my grandmother's name is Maria, so my Greek name is actually Maria instead of Mia. But I am just Mia. It's not short for anything. My name is just Mia. That's how my mom wanted it. Her middle name is Mia. So I am Mia. My middle name is Netta, after my mom.
So there's a bit of a great aunt, a grandmother, and your mother.
I got a lot of
your
names
name.
in my name.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. You know, every time I ask this question, we get lots of sordid tales about where the names come from, but there's always a hint of family in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really not surprised to find out that's your case as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mia, before we get into a little bit of conversation with you, there is a tradition we have here at Quick Trivia with Mike, and that is birthdays of the week
Oh.
here at East Castle Place. And this week we have several of them. On May 10th, we have a couple of birthday twins, Eileen Olin and Richard Kneedler. May 10th, they both celebrate their birthday. On May 15th, we have Ann Joyce. She's celebrating her birthday. On May 16th, we have Dr. Alex Hill. And on May 18th, we have Liz Roosh. So lots of birthday kids this week.
It's also my brother's birthday on May 12th.
No kidding. See, this must have been a very, very busy week. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Wish your brother a happy birthday
I
from all of
will.
us.
Yes.
And if any of you come across any of these birthday kids in the corridors this week, be sure to wish them a very happy birthday from all of us here at Quick Trivia with Mike. Now, Mia, what
Yes.
is it exactly that you do here at East Castle Place?
I am the HR assistant here, so I do a lot of different things. A lot of my role is based in recruiting and getting all of these new hires in to support our team, and also supporting all the employee functions, so making sure that all the employees feel supported in everything that they're doing here. So I am that go-to person for a lot of the employees here and making sure that their job and everything they're doing, anything that they're going through, I can help support them in any way. If they're going through something outside of work, I want to be that support system for them. If they are having trouble anything at work, I want to be there as a sounding system for them, or listening board, anything that I can help solve for them. I'm there for them through the whole process and through the whole problem, and help them provide solutions so they can feel better and hopefully continue here at East Castle Place, because we want this to be an amazing place to work and an amazing place to be, and also a happy family, happy place, happy support system, happy living environment for everyone that's here.
That's a lot.
It is
you
a lot,
really have a lot on your plate, don't you?
Yes, I do. I love it. It's great.
Now, actually, you work in a two-person department.
I
So
do.
you said you're the HR assistant,
I am.
but you're kind of like the assistant director, wouldn't you say? Because you're the second person in a two-person
I am
department?
the second person, yes.
Okay, so like today, Jen is actually working from home.
She is.
So you're kind of the acting director today, wouldn't you think?
That's what you say, yes.
So I'm not sure that's a formal job title, but we're going to give it to Mia today. She's the acting director today. And frankly, you know, it's really important when a director is gone to have their subordinates step up. We really don't miss a beat when you're really running the HR department for a day.
I try my best, yeah.
Well, that's really good. I know we're in capable hands. Ironically, you succeeded a much loved person here, Tony. You've been here for what, a year and a half now?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little over a year.
What's it like to step into a position where everybody knew Tony and everybody appreciated what he did, but you've stepped in, nobody talks Tony anymore. People talk Mia now. How does
Yeah.
that transition occur?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting transition. I knew I had big shoes to fill. Everyone really loved Tony, and I wanted to do just as good of it as a job as Tony was doing, but also do it a little bit differently because I'm different than Tony, obviously. So I wanted to bring what Mia could bring to the table. Tony brought a lot of things that were amazing and great, and I know that I'm able to bring a lot of things that are amazing and great as well. So that was kind of my goal, is to make the role that I was stepping into Mia, so people kind of knew Mia as Mia instead of Mia replacing Tony.
Well, you own it now. It is your position and your fingerprints are all over it, and you're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
One of the behind the scenes things that a lot of you don't know is when we have special events, kind of like morale events here at East Castle Place, Walking Taco Day, or for St. Patrick's Day we had Shamrock Shakes and things like that. You really play a major role in that, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's something that staff and residents really get to feel a part of by coming down and participating in, right?
Yeah, we're a part of the Let's Be Awesome committee, which is a committee of a small amount of employees where we get together once a month and plan out different events for the upcoming month, of thinking about ideas that we can do for employee engagement and also resident engagement, so we can intermingle and either raise money for Alzheimer's or either just get people involved to get to know each other and just kind of embrace that engagement with each other, so we're able to kind of keep that good morale and good culture with each other.
Well, and I know all of this is going on in the midst of an age of COVID. I know that we really have had a downscaling, if you will, of the incidence of illness here at East Castle Place, but we're still ever watchful, and part of that involves tracking the rate of vaccination for our employees. Where are we right now? Do you have any idea with that? I think it's well over 95% of our employees had their first and second vaccination,
Yeah, I think it's
right?
well over 90% at this point, which we're doing really well. Everyone's been really good about going out and getting vaccinated, which it's been really important that we're doing that to protect and support our community and protect and support our residents, as we are in that vulnerable population, and it's important that we're able to do that and support the people that are immunization compromised and help each other out in the way that we can. So we're really doing a really good job at that.
I agree. And if an employee could, as you all know, people could have gotten their first and their second boosters already. If an employee is double vaccinated but has not had their boosters yet, we do extra things with them to make sure that our residents stay safe, correct?
Correct.
Some of that involves testing on a regular basis, and depending upon where they go in the community, they still have to fully mask up and things like that, correct?
Yes.
So we're ever vigilant, even though we tend to be on the downside, we hope, of COVID, you know, knock on wood, hopefully we stay that way as well, right?
Yes, hopefully. That's always the goal, is to stay down, keep the numbers down, so eventually we can take off the mask and keep the protection where the protection is needed.
Good. Now I also know that we're in an age of construction.
Yes.
If people don't know where HR is right now, where is your office?
Our office is located in Water Tower, the first floor of Water Tower by Teresa's office.
Okay.
So we're located over there, first floor of Water Tower.
Now you're going to come back to your regular offices someday, right?
Someday, hopefully.
Someday.
Someday.
Someday. We're told that all of this will be done, even the renovation of Water Tower, in like 17 months, 18 months, something like that, right? We're not holding our breath, but we certainly hope that that's pretty close to what the actual time frame will be.
They think our offices are going to move back July, August time.
Of this year, of
this
2022.
Year, yes.
All right, I will look forward to that, because I think at some point in there I'm going to be moving.
Yeah.
Well, Mia, let's take a look at last week's questions, shall we?
Yeah, why not?
We're going to see if you can get some of these answers, because our residents have had a full week to ponder them. We first looked at a television and movie star, very prominent in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, Red Skelton. Actually, Richard Red Skelton, born July 18th, 1913, and passed away September 17th, 1997. I know this was before your time. But he had his own television show on 2 separate networks for about 20 years. He also starred in some very famous movies. Lucille Ball was in a movie with him, starred in the Ziegfeld Follies, starred in The Clown. And the Red Skelton Hour really started in like 1951 in one variation, and it went until 1970. So really very well known. Red Skelton never thought of himself as a comedian. He wanted to be known as a clown. And he actually, in his later years, he lived for about 20 years after his television show went off the air, started painting. And he was very well known for the clowns that he painted. I asked our viewers to finish one of Red Skelton's famous quotes, and I actually gave you a tip on this last week. We're going to see if you can remember it.
Oh gosh.
All men make mistakes, but married men... What did Red Skelton say about married men and making mistakes that gives them an advantage? All men make mistakes, but married men
realize them quicker.
Yes! Very good! Married men find out about them sooner. All men make mistakes, but married men find out about them sooner. The very, very famous words of Red Skelton. Excellent! Wonderful! See, you're on a roll.
Oh, I'm killing it. 1 for 1.
Our next topic, you don't know anything about this one. We talked a little bit about the Principality of Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is located in Europe. It's in the Alps, located between Austria and Switzerland, and is considered a constitutional monarchy. It primarily is Christian. 73% of the population is Catholic. Almost 6% is Islam. It is a monarchy, but it also has a prime minister, much like England has. It has a population of 38,900, roughly 38,900. And really, it makes its money primarily by dealing in money. It's kind of a banking country. It is, in fact, neutral. It has not participated with an army in a war. However, in World War I, it was primarily affiliated with the centrist powers. The centrist powers, of course, were...
That's a great question.
It was Germany, it was Austria-Hungary, it was Turkey, in contrast to the Allies, which was England, France, Russia, United States ultimately. So even though it affiliated itself with the losers, it was in fact neutral. Part of that is because, of course, it does not field an army. I pointed out to our viewers that in 1866 was the last war that Liechtenstein participated in. It fought in the Austro-Prussian War. And I said a very, very interesting thing happened with the army of Liechtenstein in the Austro-Prussian War of 1866, which led to it abandoning its army and becoming neutral from that point on. What was it? Do you have a clue? Prussia, of course, was Germany, basically, in those days. So a war between Austria and Germany in 1866.
Huh.
I think we stumped her. I don't think she's ever going to get this one. You're never going to get it.
Interesting thing happened with their army.
Yes, correct. Correct. We got her. I'll
They
tell you.
didn't show up.
No, actually they did show up. They went to war with an army of 80 men. Kind of a token force, okay? And they fought valiantly. How many of those men do you think they returned with, of the 80 men? That's the key issue. That's the key issue. They went to war with an army of 80 men in the Austro-Prussian War. How many did they return with?
How many did they return with?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, war is horrible.
Yeah.
It's devastating on the participants. How many did they return with? They went to war with 80 men.
See, when you say that, it makes me want to say 80, because I think you're lying.
You're actually very close. They went to war with 80 men, they came back with 81. An Italian soldier abandoned the Italian army and joined the Liechtenstein army and came back with them. So they actually lost nobody. They decided that an army of 80 men wasn't worth keeping anymore. So they disbanded their army, they became a neutral country, and they never went to war again. So they went to war with 80 men, they came back with 81. Somewhere in Liechtenstein there was an Italian soldier who adopted the country, and it became his homeland from that point on.
Wow.
There you have it. That was question number 2. Question number 3. We talked a little bit about Dr. Benjamin Spock. Does that name ring a bell with you?
Sure. No.
Okay. Dr. Benjamin Spock, for my generation, was the most renowned pediatrician in the world. A very famous author. He wrote Baby and Child Care in 1946, and it became the mantra for child rearing for like half a century. Everybody had to have a copy of Baby and Child Care. In fact, when a young woman would announce that she was pregnant, this was typically a gift that she got. He also was very, very famous because he was a very outspoken political person. He was extremely liberal. He was opposed to the Vietnam War. He was an activist in what became known as the New Left. He actually ran for president of the United States in 1972.
Huh.
I pointed out, however, now there's another name you're not going to know in all likelihood, unless you're a fan of old movies. There was a movie star in the 30s and 40s named Johnny Weissmuller. Starred in the old Tarzan movies, some of the first talkies. You know, the original Tarzan movies were silent movies, but when they went to talkies, he was the original Tarzan. He also starred later in a series of films called Jungle Jim, kind of piggybacking off his role as Tarzan. I pointed out that Johnny Weissmuller of Tarzan fame and Dr. Benjamin Spock, the most famous pediatrician of his time, shared something in common. And I asked you, our viewers, what was this? that tied Benjamin Spock and Johnny Weissmuller together?
I think they shared a birthday.
Ooh, so close. So close, but not really. Believe it or not, they both won Olympic gold medals in the 1924 Olympics. Johnny Weissmuller was a tremendous athlete, swimming. That's why he did his own stunts in the Tarzan movies. And in fact, it's how he got the role as Tarzan. So he's an Olympic gold medalist in swimming in 1924. In the 1930s, he's starring in the Tarzan movies. Dr. Benjamin Spock won a gold medal for rowing in 1924. He attended Yale University and was on their, I don't know what you call a rowing team. There's a name for that. You know, those guys that are in those long, narrow boats.
I thought it was rowing.
Maybe.
Crew.
Crew!
It's crew!
He won a gold medal in crew.
I should get an extra point for that.
Okay. All right. I'll give you an extra point for that one. So there you have it, folks. Those were the three things that tied our three notable celebrities together. They were both Olympic gold medalists in the 1924 Olympics. Who knew, right?
Who knew?
All right. We're going to take a brief intermission. Mia and I are going to be back for the second half of the show with three brand new questions, and I can assure you they are real brain teasers. Go get yourself a little bit of brain food. A donut, I highly recommend. Maybe a cup of coffee. We're going to be right back.
Scanlon, who's pitching the opener?
Medication time.
This isn't a queen.
Medication time.
I'm a
Jason.
queen.
Medication. Hey, Billy.
Get in here real hard on, thank you. Excuse me, miss. Do you think it might be possible to turn that music down so maybe a couple of the boys could talk?
That music is for everyone, Mr. McMurphy.
Yeah, I know, but you think we might ease it down a little bit so maybe the boys didn't have to shout? Huh?
What you probably don't realize is that we have a lot of old men on this ward who couldn't hear the music if we turned it lower. That music is all they have. Your hand is staining my window.
Sorry, man.
All right.
Sorry.
Mr. McMurphy.
Huh?
Your medication.
What's in the horse pill?
It's just medicine. It's good for you.
Yeah, but I don't like the idea of taking something if I don't know what it is.
Don't get upset, Mr. McMurphy.
I'm not getting upset, Miss Pilbo. It's just that I don't want anyone to try and slip me saltpeter. Know what I mean?
Murphy doesn't want to take his medication orally. I'm sure we can arrange that he can have it some other way. But I don't think you'd like it, Mr. McMurphy.
You'd like it, wouldn't you? Hold on. Give it to me.
Good. Very good.
Yummy.
Welcome back to the second half of Quick Trivia with Mike. I'm joined by my guest host today, Mia Lemazny. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Were you stumped by any of the questions in the first half?
I was stumped.
Okay. Now you're going to know, I'm positive, the answers to the questions in the second half, but I'm going to ask you not to blurt them out.
Okay.
These are the questions that our residents are going to ponder over the next week. And if any of you residents want to get your name on Quick Trivia with Mike, all you have to do is play along, get me the answers by noon on Monday, or give me a topic for Quick Trivia with Mike. I'll be glad to give you credit. Jim Fry, my own wife Mary Beth, I've given them credit in the past for giving me topics. So get your name on Quick Trivia with Mike. But Mia, let's learn a little bit more about you. We've learned a little bit about what you do here at East Castle Place.
Yeah.
I happen to know, because you told me, that you actually are a pending, if you will, new bride.
I am,
You are
yes.
in your engagement period right
Yes, I
now.
am,
How long
yes.
have you been dating your beau?
3 years.
3 years. And you met?
So we met when we were both in school. We both went to schools in Boston. And we met through mutual friends at a Halloween party.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent. In an age of COVID, that's not a very common way to meet people anymore. I
No.
think online dating sites is much more common now.
Yeah.
But you met the old-fashioned way.
We
Good
did
for
meet
you.
the old-fashioned way, yeah.
Good for you. And you have a degree in,
Psychology.
and he has a degree in.
Mechanical engineering.
Now you shared with me once that he's actually from like Arizona, right?
Close. He's from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, and
Yes.
you are actually from Boston.
I am,
right?
yes.
How in the world do you end up in Milwaukee when one is from New Mexico and the other? Did you just like decide to be halfway between the two?
Actually, no. So before we started dating, he already accepted a job in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And when we started dating, he was like, "Oh, I have a job in Milwaukee." So we had to decide if we were gonna date long distance or not. So we decided we were gonna date long distance and give a go at it. So we
Okay.
dated long distance for a year and a half,
Oh
2
my
years
gosh.
almost. Yeah.
And you stayed together all that
We
time?
stayed together.
Well, I think moving to Milwaukee was the right decision for
I
you.
guess so, yeah.
Because clearly you now have a lifelong partner.
I do, yes.
Excellent. And the wedding is going to be?
June 9th, 2023.
All right. And that, I presume, because you're the bride, is going to be in Boston.
It is going to be in Boston, yes.
Okay. You shared with me once where it will be. You actually are Greek Orthodox or
I am.
just Orthodox? Greek
I'm
Orthodox?
Greek Orthodox.
You're actually of Greek descent,
I
right?
am, yes.
Okay. I love those Orthodox churches. You
They
know,
are
the
very
the iconography in them and stained glass windows and everything.
Yes,
Just gorgeous. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful wedding. How far along are you in the plans now?
I think we're pretty on top of things. We have our venue booked. We have our, the church is all booked. We have our save dates ready. We have our guest list pretty narrowed down. We have our DJ.
Okay. Now you've actually shown me a
I have.
picture of your wedding gown.
I have. I
It's-
have my wedding gown.
Absolutely gorgeous, and she is beautiful in it. But your groom has not seen it, right?
He has not seen it, no.
It's the old traditional thing. You're not going to let him see it till you walk down the aisle.
Correct. Correct.
Excellent. Do you have music picked out for as you walk down the aisle?
I do.
Can you share?
I'm not going to share.
Okay. When my wife and I got married, she walked down the aisle to Pachelbel's Canon in D major. A beautiful song for a beautiful bride. She was just lovely. I'm sure you will be as well. So do you think you and your fiance will be Milwaukee long-term residents? Are these career positions you have?
We haven't really decided.
Okay.
I think Milwaukee right now is a really good place for us, but both of our families aren't here. So
I
when we
understand.
want to make a family, we don't really know.
One of the things I like about East Castle Place, however, is that it's not unusual for someone to start out like yourself, and within 5 or 6 years they're a director, and they've worked their way up. Anna Landis is a really good example of that. She started off working in community life, and now she's our director of marketing. So this is potentially career employment, no matter where you start out in East Castle Place, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be in HR long-term, though?
I really enjoy working in HR, yes.
Good. And Jen is a good person to work with, right?
Jen's a great person to work for. She's bubbly, great. She really encourages me. She really supports me and really wants me to meet my goals and helps me get to those goals. So I couldn't say enough good things about her.
So are there any HR secrets involving East Castle Place that only Jen and you know that you could share with just myself and our viewers today?
Oh, there's plenty of secrets, but I can't share.
You're clearly on top of it. Good for you. Jen has trained you well. So you do not have a degree in HR,
I do not.
but you received lots of training. And
I have
everything.
received training. I do have a certification in HR. It's a SHRM CPR CSP certification.
Okay. And do we give you enough to keep you busy, or are you sitting around, wondering, gosh darn it, I wish Mike would send more work down to me.
Yeah, I
wish
don't have any
Mike's
work.
staff would be better.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, send me more work. I do.
My
I do
staff
keep
are a
pretty
real
busy.
challenge for her, a real challenge.
I do keep pretty busy. I have a lot to do every day.
Well, I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job at it.
Thank you.
Every time I go down there, you seem to be really on top of stuff.
Thank you.
Good. Well, Mia, should we take a look at this week's questions?
Yes, let's take a look.
This is going to be new for Mia, but for you, our viewers, you know that I like to go back and take a look at history a little bit. We're going to take a little bit of a look at Civil War history.
Ooh.
We're going to take a look at a Confederate general by the name of Thomas Jonathan Jackson, better known as, you can actually answer this one if you know.
I don't.
Thomas Jonathan Jackson. Have you ever heard of a gentleman called Stonewall Jackson?
Yes, that's him?
That's him.
Ah!
That's him. He actually got his nickname at the First Battle of Bull Run. Bull Run is actually the name of the battle that the North called it. The South called it Manassas. The North called it after the creek that ran through the battlefield. The South called it after the local town. So he got the name. The Union Army charged. The Confederates went into a massive retreat. And General Jackson stood his ground. And he was on a knoll. And he's exhorting his men to come back and help him defeat the Union. And someone said, "There's Jackson like a stone wall." And the name stuck with him. And that's what it was. Born on January 21st, 1824, passed away on May 10th, 1863. He actually was a graduate of West Point. He also served at on the staff at Virginia Military Academy. After his term as a Union officer, he fought in the Mexican-American War. After that, he mustered out, worked at Virginia Military Institute, actually, VMI, and he rejoined the Army at the beginning of the Civil War, working for the Confederates, of course. VMI, of course, is Virginia Military Institute. He fought for the Army of Northern Virginia, directly under Robert E. Lee. Just a tremendous tactician. Many people claim that he actually was the greatest tactician of the war. Now, of course, there are people who are enamored with Robert E. Lee. But when Jackson passed away, Robert E. Lee mentioned that Jackson, from an injury, had his left arm amputated. And Robert E. Lee, upon the death of Jackson, said, "Jackson lost his left arm, but I lost my right." Because
right hand man.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It actually was at the Battle of Chancellorsville, and Jackson was injured, and the gunshot wounds actually ultimately cost him his life because they attempted to amputate his arm. Because in those days, medical care wasn't very good. The only thing they had was amputation. See, in those days, they had advanced technology for muzzles so that they were spun. And as the bullet came out, it went into someone's bones and it just shattered them. Now today we can fix that. Back then, the only cure was amputation, otherwise gangrene sets in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He ended up dying of pneumonia. My question to you, our viewers, how in the world did Stonewall Jackson get shot? It truly is an anomaly. My question to you, how did Stonewall Jackson get shot? At the Battle of Chancellorsville in 1863, which, by the way, was only, let me see if I can get you the exact date here. The Battle of Chancellorsville was in May. You will remember that Gettysburg was July of 1863. Many people think that Lee lost the Battle of Gettysburg because Jackson wasn't there to help him. So there you have it. My question to our viewers, how did Stonewall Jackson die? How did he end up getting shot, which led to his death? My second question. We're going to take a little bit of a look at the entertainment industry.
All right.
There are ways of tracking the success of a music recording. Typically through sales, they are gold, platinum, or diamond. Typically, that means gold in the United States, it means that a single has sold 500,000. Platinum means they've sold 1 million, and diamond means that they have sold 10 million copies. Just an amazing, amazing number of records. And of course, nowadays, it's not records, it's CDs.
Yeah.
And of course, you can actually purchase downloads and things like that. Take all of that into account now. So that's how they do it. They track sales. And of course, there are different standards in the United Kingdom, in Canada, and in France. In the United States, gold is 500,000 sales. In Canada, it's 40,000 sales. In the United Kingdom, it's 100,000. And in France, it's 50,000. So the standards vary. It really came to a head in 1958. The Recording Industry Association of America set the standards. It really, when all of this began back in the earlier days, to sell 1 million copies was just an absolute amazing number. The very first album to sell 1 million copies was an album of Harry Belafonte's in 1957. So that just shows how long it took in recording industry to get to 1 million copies of something. It was Calypso. Calypso sold 1 million copies as an album. Harry Belafonte in 1956. My question to you, our viewers: what was the very first single to sell 1 million copies? What was the very first single to sell 1 million copies? And I'll give you a clue. I'm sure it's a very famous recording artist. Born on May 11th, 1884, and died in 1938. Alma Gluck. I'm sure you've heard of Alma Gluck.
I have.
Right? You've heard of Alma Gluck?
No.
No!
Of course
Okay.
not.
All right. Well, in 1915, a recording of Alma Gluck's sold 1 million copies. What was that single that became the very first gold record? The very first single to sell 1 million copies by Alma Gluck in
Alma
1915. Question number 2. Question number 3. Going to take a little bit of a look at television history. Our viewers know that I worked at PBS before I came here to
I
East
did
Castle
know
Place.
that.
There you go. See? I just love PBS. The PBS, I sincerely believe, is the greatest network in America. After, of course, Channel 955.
That's true.
Right here at East Castle Place. One of the very, very famous shows of PBS, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. A very, very heralded television show. It really, was, even at the time when television shows were, real characters, real actors, Captain Kangaroo, Sesame Street, this one stood out as a true hallmark of not only entertaining but educating children. Parents always knew that Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was a very, very safe place for their children to be, because Fred Rogers himself was such a wonderful person. Something that a lot of people don't know. All of the sweaters that Mr. Rogers wore on his program, do you know where they came from?
Did they come from families that sent them in, or made them?
Whose family? You're right, but whose family?
The fans?
No.
His family?
Fred Rogers' mother knitted his sweaters.
Really?
She was a knitter by hobby, and she knitted his sweaters for him. There's a spin-off actually to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and it's Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. It was spun off on the 50th anniversary of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So Daniel Tiger is actually a spin-off of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. My question to our viewers, so I'm sure you all know Mr. Rogers, with Fred Rogers. We don't have to delve too deeply into it. Tom Hanks, of course, played him in the very famous movie from about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
Just a wonderful, wonderful adaptation of Fred Rogers. In fact, many people think that Fred Rogers saved PBS. You can actually go on YouTube and you can see his testimony before Congress when public broadcasting was going to lose its grant, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and he went and gave testimony. And immediately after his testimony, they voted and renewed the grant, and the rest is history. On May 9th, 1969, Fred Rogers did something with a guest star by the name of Francois Clemens, who played the role of Officer Clemens on the show from 1968 to 1993. On May 9th, 1969, Fred Rogers did something with Francois Clemens in character. So it was actually Mr. Rogers and Officer Clemens. They did something that changed television history. They did it on May 9th, 1969 for the very first time ever on television. My question to you, our viewers, is what is it that they did on May 9th, 1969 that changed television forever? That, my friends, is question number 3. As always, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you had a really good time. I know you have a lot of options for how to spend a half hour of television viewing. I'm really glad that you took the time to spend it with us. I'm especially grateful to my guest host today, Neil Lamazny.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope to come back again sometime.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. This was a lot of fun.
Excellent. I'd also like to thank the president of ECTV, Tyler Gudex, our executive producer, Stacy Abbott, my editor and producer, Scott McFerrin. I've said it many, many, many times, and I sincerely mean it. If there's anything you like about the show, Scott's fingerprints are all over it. I hope you take the time to let him know that you enjoy the show at some point in the future. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. As we sign off, I hope that you will all remember the very famous words of the recently departed Betty White. Did you know Betty White or know of Betty White?
I did, yeah.
Probably from reruns of Golden Girls, right?
Yeah.
But she also was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Sue Ann Nivens, she played. Just a wonderful, wonderful character actress.
Yeah.
Married to Alan Ludden of Concentration fame. At any rate, Betty White was very, very famous for giving some wonderful advice. She said, I hope you all get 8 hours of beauty sleep every night. Unless, of course, you're ugly, in which case I recommend you get 9. There you have it, everybody. I'll see you next week.
But I know what you're wishing for.